changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Friend Friday, and today I want to introduce you to Lori Harder, who is a very inspirational woman who is an expert in the world of fitness and nutrition and general emotional health. She helps people learn to like themselves and take better care of themselves through her books, her coaching, her seminars. She's been featured in articles and on the covers of Oxygen Magazine, Strong Fitness Magazine, Health and Fitness Magazine, Prosper Magazine. She's also been on NBC, Fox, TLC networks. And most importantly, and why she's part of the Chicken Soup for the Soul family, is that she's a really nice person who really cares about helping other people, which makes her the kind of person I love talking to. So, Lori, welcome to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful to be here, Amy.
Well, you had me on your podcast a few weeks ago, and I loved it. It was so much fun. And for everybody listening, Lori's podcast is called Earn Your Happy, and you definitely need to go and listen to it.
Oh, thank you. I had a blast.
Well, good. So, you know what I like about you is that you cover like every part of somebody's life. Like no matter what problem area you think you have, or if you have 10 different problem areas, it seems like you have solutions and you present them in this warm and friendly way, and they're practical and they're easy to implement. And I love that about what you do. How did you get into this business?
Well, I'm going to make this the shortest version possible. I really struggled growing up. I was raised in a really religious background that actually didn't allow me to associate with anyone outside of my religion. So there was only a couple girls in my church, and I was from a very small town, and my whole family struggled with their weight as well. And there was just a lot of not only emotional suppression, but also, the way that we coped with problems, the way that we experienced joy as a family. A lot of it all revolved around food because I wasn't allowed to do extracurricular activities. So it was like, every night was food, every weekend was food. We weren't active. And I just, I had this, I knew that when I would move, because once in a while I'd go for a walk, or I'd just go play outside, or I'd go rollerblading, I felt better. It was the first time that I actually didn't feel anxious, because I was a very anxious child. And my mom had a lot of anxiety too. So I think a lot of it was learned as well. So when I would go exercise, I would start to feel better. And my older sister used to do these VHS tapes, right? Because she wanted to lose weight. So I started doing those with her. And every time I worked out, I was like, oh, I feel a little bit more calm. I feel a little better. So I did that throughout my childhood. I actually started doing that at 8 years old, believe it or not, because I was so aware of what was going on at such a young age, which I know that happens to so many young kids as well. And that's when I knew that movement was going to be such a massive part of my life. But not only was it a part of my life, when I got older, I knew that I had to do this for other people who felt maybe trapped or suppressed, because it's such a beautiful way to deal with so many different issues.
It's amazing how movement helps you to reintegrate with your body. I think so many of us think that like ourselves are up here in our heads, and then from the neck down, that's just this body that we're loosely associated with. But we don't really realize that ourselves are as much our little toes as our brains. And so I think you're helping people to reintegrate with their bodies, right? And enjoy their bodies.
Movement helps so much. It helps us move from, our head to our heart. So often when we drop into our physical bodies, when we start moving, it's like, oh yeah, this whole thing is connected. It really helps you start thinking as a whole instead of just your head.
Yeah. So I looked at your website. I spent a lot of time looking at it, and it's so cool because you have comprehensive programs people can pay for, but then you even have free workouts, 10 minutes or longer. You have free recipes that look so enticing. You have all this great stuff that's so much fun. How should somebody go to your website, loriharder.com, and roam around and benefit from what is there?
Well, I think the question that you can ask yourself is, what is the most pressing issue for you right now? So, and how you can find that is by looking at your life and saying, whenever I go to take a first step on my goal, what is typically the number one reason why I stop or why I feel I can't? So let's say that you want to work out, but you are feeling so anxious and tired, maybe you need to start meditating before you need to start working out. Because what that does is it really helps you control your mind, to focus, to slow down, to really be aware of what you're thinking and how your thoughts are stopping you. So maybe you need to stop on the meditation area first and do a self-love meditation and just really start dealing with the things that are stopping you first. So that's what I always have people do, is kind of scan. You'll intuitively know. So for those of you listening, what is the thing that stops you? Are you tired? Do you need more sleep? Do you need to move your body more? Do you need to connect with more people? So you kind of can navigate the website in that way and go to the thing that's most pressing for you first.
That is really fabulous. And that makes a lot of sense, because some people, they say, like, I really want to exercise, but I'm too busy. So maybe they first need to address that issue. Why are you too busy? Is it because you're not saying no enough, right? And I made a list of what I think are a pretty standard set of problems for most women. So my standard woman wants to lose 15 pounds. She doesn't exercise enough. She knows she should eat better, but she feels like she doesn't have time to shop for food. She has a strained relationship with someone in her family. She has an aging parent she's worrying about. She feels like she's too busy to ever have any me time. And maybe her marriage isn't as strong as it used to be. Like, that's like your standard package, right? So, so that woman can come to your website and you can help her figure out where to start.
So what I would say is that all of those things are constant issues in our head. And most of the time, that woman, because I have been that woman, I totally can relate to that woman, is living in the future, is definitely taking all of the future things that she needs to do, doesn't have time, has to take care of her kids, needs to put everybody else first. And what you need to do is start to realize that the present is your power. So what do I mean? So being present and understanding that all of those things happen later, that obviously if you put your oxygen mask on first and you take care of yourself first, you're going to have more energy and be stronger for all of those things. So first of all, understanding that, and also understanding majority of the time we get stuck thinking maybe something that worked in the past or something that works for someone else is going to work for us. And when it doesn't work, we get upset with ourselves. So we carry all of that energy on top of it. So something that I like to say is to really look at where I'm at mentally if I'm trying to make something happen, or if someone's trying to lose weight. It's like, what are you saying to yourself, first of all? Because we can't hate ourselves thin, right? We can't do that. So it's kind of like, where do you need to be more loving with yourself and say, okay, you know what, today I only have 20 minutes for myself, or I really only feel I can do this for 20 minutes today, or I can't run those 3 miles, even though that's what I feel I need to get to my goals. It's super, super small actions done consistently, because I will tell you the number one thing why people are successful is just because they're consistent. It doesn't mean they always do an hour. It just means they always show up. So definitely just find if you can show up somewhere for 20 minutes to start moving, and also saying a mantra to yourself that really connects you to your goal in a very positive way. So instead of, why didn't I do that? Or I should have done an hour, or I'm not good enough, or this is so hard, or, oh my God, it's like, what can you say that day that really helps you connect to, you know, maybe why you're moving, not just your goal, but this makes me feel better. This is going to make me have more energy all day long. This 20 minutes is going to make such a huge impact at the end of the week. Like, really start changing the reason why you're exercising. It's not just for that great body. It's for mental clarity. It's for energy. It's to be happier. It's to be the best mom that you can possibly be. It's just to feel better. So for me, it's a part of my self-love practice. If I don't do certain things to love me, I'm not going to love myself, which means I'm not going to love anyone around me. Let's just be honest. You don't feel good. So you're projecting that. So that's something that you can start looking at, is just smaller bites done daily, really small things done daily. Can you do 5 minutes? Can you do 20 minutes of just movement, even if that's just turning on your favorite song and dancing around the house?
Well, I think you're right. People will say, oh, I don't have 30 minutes or I don't have 60 minutes, so I'm just not going to even try today. I mean, I know this morning I was rushing off to come to the recording studio and I had 20 minutes to do exercise and I did 10, and then I got a really important phone call. So that was it. But I still at least was glad that I did it. I didn't make an excuse and not try for my 20 minutes. And probably
that's
tomorrow will
the
be
whole
an hour.
key. Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I know you also just did this thing called the Bliss Project, which I guess is like a whole, 2 days or something of Lori Harder? What is the Bliss Project?
Okay, so the Bliss Project is 3 days of basically total immersion of self-development, self-love, reflection time. I find as women, we do not ever give ourselves time to actually write down what is stopping us. What are we saying to ourselves? What are the thoughts that are on repeat in our head? So we really go deep and we figure out exactly what it is that you're saying in your head. What are your stories? What are your ideas? What's holding you back? What in your life are we blaming, justifying, complaining about? And what we do is we completely reprogram the way that we're looking at all of that. We reprogram that old story that's in your past. We really close the gaps. We close the circles. We look at things that maybe we're not dealing with and how could we deal with them? Because that's all an energy suck. It's pulling the life out of us. And if we can reframe and go and close those loops that are just playing open on repeat, draining our battery in the background, right? That we don't even realize. If we can close that, if we can connect you to a tribe of like-minded people so that when you go home and that outside world tries to influence you, you have that place where you can tap back into to get that power back again. You have that tribe. You have those like-minded people who all go towards those goals, and you can stay consistent on that path. So it's really like a place to reset, to reprogram and recharge and find your tribe.
So if somebody's listening and they just want to go to your website and poke around and find some cool things to try, what would you recommend they do?
I would definitely say go to loriharder.com, and then I would definitely put your email in, because I send you guys so much cool stuff, whether it's free meditations, free workouts. I have some really cool free workout things coming out in the next few months. So I would definitely say that, because I always, if I'm going to put out a workout, I'm always going to put it out as well with something with mindfulness and some meditations and things to deal with your mindset first, because we know that we can work out all we want, but nothing is going to change if we don't change our minds. So it's truly a holistic approach.
All right. And then they can get free workouts on your website to try Lori's methods. There's also lots of free recipes, which I think it's a great idea that you give people free tastes of what you do so that they'll sign up for more. What else is available on your website besides the workouts and the recipes? What else can people poke around and find there?
We've got workouts, recipes, and I really love my meditations, because there's a meditation on, I think there's self-love, abundance, gratitude, and those are all things that are like the baseline. If you want to change your life, those things have to change. You know, the way that we view our body, the way that we view money, the way that we view our relationships, all of these things they're all connected. So you can't just change one and think your whole life is going to change. You take little bites at a time. And a lot of that is just, you know, if you're listening to something and you're constantly feeding your faith, obviously your fear is going to dwindle, and everything that's associated with fear, which is, you know, being overweight, which is having anxiety, all of those other things.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I love the fact that you stress gratitude, because if you're not able to see the blessings in your life, there's really no way you can be happy with what you have. So, Lori, thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I always love chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Sure. And everyone out there, thanks for listening today to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast. I'm Amy Newmark today with Lori Harder. Come back next week for Motivational Monday, and we'll talk about a related idea, ditching that high-paying job that doesn't make you happy for a lower-paying one that does. If you want to learn more about Lori Harder, please visit her fabulous website, loriharder.com. And finally, I know it's Good Friday today, so please have a fabulous Easter weekend. And we're also in the middle of Passover, so happy Passover as well to everyone who is celebrating that holiday.